Hey, welcome. My name is Kate Borsato. I'm a mental health therapist for moms and moms-to-be. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking all about intrusive thoughts that are sexual in content. I know this might be surprising to you. This might sound kind of strange even, but I'm here to tell you all about it, why you're having these thoughts, what they mean, whether you should be worried, all of that. We're going to get right into it. If you haven't already, then make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so that you get notifications every time I post a new video, which is every Wednesday. Thanks for being here. Let's dive into today's video. So the reason I'm making this video is because in my work as a counselor and just in conversations with women, supporting people online, I know that women are having really troublesome thoughts and they're feeling very scared to reach out and get help, okay? So we know that intrusive thoughts are really quite common. They're very disturbing, right? They can be so hard to deal with, especially ones that are sexual in nature. So I'm making this video to help people learn more about what's going on, to hopefully reduce some of that shame and those crappy feelings that you have about yourself if you're having these kind of thoughts. I want you to know exactly why you're having them, what they mean, if you should be concerned or not. And I hope by the end of this video, you feel a little bit more at ease with what's happening for you. Okay, so what are intrusive thoughts to begin with? Basically, intrusive thoughts are thoughts that just like blast into your awareness. Thoughts or images, they might even be like scenes that just enter your mind without you choosing that. You didn't want to have these thoughts. So I always like to give a couple really common examples that so many people have that you might not have realized are intrusive thoughts. So for example, some people, will drive down the road and they have this thought of like, what would happen if I just went like that and smashed my car into the oncoming traffic? That's kind of a weird thought, right? At least we judge ourselves for it to be a weird thought. But it's such a common thought. If you shared that with people, other people would be like, oh yeah, I have that thought too, right? So that's a good example of an intrusive thought. It's not that you want to smash your car into the oncoming traffic, it's just a thought that enters your mind. So most people have weird thoughts, strange thoughts, inappropriate thoughts. Like most people have them. And again, they did not choose to have these thoughts. What happens with motherhood is that you go through so much stress, which is just really natural, right? Like never in your life do you go through such a huge transition. And when you're under stress, usually anxiety increases, overwhelm increases, and we notice that these thought patterns can sometimes increase as well. So I'll start by saying that intrusive thoughts are more about anxiety than they are about the actual thought themselves, okay? Now, when I talk to other moms and do research about intrusive thoughts, they usually show up in 4 different categories. So the first would be around like sickness and contamination. So maybe having fears about your baby or yourself getting sick or touching something that makes you unwell. Another really common category is around injuries. So accidents, things that happen by mistake. Maybe you leave a pair of scissors out and you have this thought that your child is going to get them and hurt themselves. Another common category is where people fear that they're actually going to hurt the child themselves. Okay, so that would be more like purposeful things. Again, this isn't what that person wants to do. It's just a thought that blasts into their mind. And then the 4th category is sexual content or sexual thoughts about your child or about another person's child. So some people have these thoughts about adults, right? But because I'm talking to you in motherhood, and often this comes up around kids, I want to specifically focus on that. Now, if you're somebody who has these thoughts or images flashing into your mind, I get it if you haven't reached out about this. This can be really scary to talk about. Some people have told therapists or doctors, and maybe that therapist or doctor didn't fully understand what was happening. Maybe they were concerned about the safety of you or your child, right? So it can be really scary and vulnerable to reach out. I totally get that, all right? These kind of thoughts can make you question yourself. They can make you feel like, is there something wrong with me? Am I bad? Am I dangerous? Am I a risk to my family, to myself, to my child, right? So I understand that. I know it can be really hard to sit with these thoughts. So to help put your mind at ease, I want you to ask yourself one simple question. When you think about the thoughts that you're having, are they in alignment with what you actually want? Yes or no? Another thought. If you imagine that thought playing out, and I know you probably don't want to imagine it, but imagine it for a moment. If these thoughts played out, does that bring joy? Does that bring relief? Is that something that you feel like, yeah, I'd be okay with that happening? If that's the case, then this is a totally different situation. This is a medical emergency, and you absolutely need to contact emergency support right away if you feel like, harming your child is something that you want to happen. Most of the time, these thoughts are not in alignment with what moms want, okay? So the fact that you're even watching this video and that maybe you're disturbed by these thoughts, maybe they're upsetting for you, they're bothering you, that's a really important sign that it's not something that you're likely to do. This has nothing to do with an urge or an impulse or something that you hope to happen, right? It has nothing to do with that. This is a result of anxiety, and anxiety sometimes creates these strange and upsetting thoughts, okay? So if you take away anything from this video, I want you to take that. Of course, if you ever have any concerns, absolutely talk to somebody, reach out for help, 100%. But just noticing if this is disturbing, if these thoughts are disturbing for you, it's probably more about anxiety. So I'm just going to talk about a couple of ways that sometimes these thoughts show up for moms. So for example, diaper changing, that might bring up some disturbing images or make you feel uncomfortable. Maybe nursing or breastfeeding, that might bring up some strange thoughts or some sexual thoughts about your child or about the act of breastfeeding that make you uncomfortable. Maybe bathing, right? And what I say to moms is that the anxious part of your brain has just kind of grabbed onto these images, right? Never in a time in your life have you probably seen so many, naked body parts around you all the time, whether it's your own body or your baby's body. We're always bathing and changing diapers, and breasts are out nursing, right? Like there's body parts out all the time. So you can imagine that anxious part of your brain just has these different, areas to grab onto and to create worries about, all right? So I want you to, again, be compassionate with yourself, right? Trust that if these thoughts are not in alignment with what you want, you are not a risk to your child. It's all about anxiety. So as you carry on through your day today or your evening, I want you to ask yourself how anxiety has shown up in your life. So do you resonate with that word? Is that a word that you would use to define yourself or your experiences? This isn't to say you have an anxiety disorder, but this experience of anxiety, that feeling of being on edge and jittery and overwhelmed and nervous, uneasy, okay? If you're feeling that often right now, that could be why these intrusive thoughts, these sexual, uncomfortable, disturbing thoughts are popping into your mind, okay? So asking yourself, is anxiety something that I've experienced quite often? And if so, what do I know is helpful for me, right? I want you to focus on the anxiety, not so much on the thoughts. Focus on bringing your whole system down, bringing some ease and comfort and relaxation and structure back into your life so that you can bring your nervous system down, right? Now, there are certain things that we do in terms of our thinking patterns that can make intrusive thoughts a lot worse. So the first thing we do is we tend to assign a lot of meaning to our thoughts. What I mean by that is we take our thoughts really seriously. We think, oh, I had that thought, that must mean, something about me. Or, oh, I had this weird thought about changing my child's diaper. It must mean I'm a pedophile, or it must mean I'm dangerous. So we take this random thing that just flashes in our mind and we make a story about it, okay? So I want you to try to catch yourself, or at least try to listen. What is the story that you're creating? What is the belief that you are telling yourself about this thought, all right? And I'll tell you some resources at the end of this video here about how you can start to unhook from those thoughts, because I know they can be really hard to let go of. Another thing that some people do that makes these thoughts worse is avoiding the situation where that thought arises. So let's say maybe you're a mom who experiences these unwanted thoughts when you have to change your baby's diaper because there's genitals everywhere, you can't help but see a naked baby, right? So naturally you might think, okay, I just don't want to do that anymore. I just don't want to change diapers. I don't want to maybe even bathe my baby because it's bringing up these thoughts. We don't want to do that. We don't want to avoid the situation that brings up that thought. Because in the moment, it might feel like it helps, right? It might feel like, oh, if I don't have to do that, then I won't have this thought. But what that's doing is it's actually feeding into the thought. It's acting as if that thought is really powerful, or it's acting as if you are in fact a threat to your child, which isn't the case, right? So the opposite of avoiding is just continuing what you wanted to do anyway. So recognizing, oh, I feel really awful and uncomfortable about this situation, but I know it's just anxiety, and I'm going to change her diaper anyway, and I'm going to give her the bath anyway, right? Don't let those uncomfortable feelings change your behavior. Otherwise, you start dancing around those feelings, and soon you're not able to do the things that you really want to do as a mother. All right. Now, the main reason I want to talk to you about this today is because intrusive thoughts, especially sexual intrusive thoughts, can be so shameful. They can make you feel so upset and scared and like there's something wrong with you, like you're a bad mom. They can be so surprising because nobody talks about this stuff, right? Nobody talks about it. And I get it, right? I don't want you to have to live with that shame, right? I want you to understand what's happening, and I want you to learn strategies to help you get back to actually enjoying this stage, right? Enjoying this time with your child and enjoying being a mom. It's really hard to when you're having these awful thoughts just like burst into your awareness all the time. So I've actually created a longer, more in-depth workshop where I help moms work through some of these thoughts and learn how to put some strategies into place that are going to really make you feel a lot better. So I'm linking to the workshop below in the description here. It's totally free. You can sign up, you can watch it right away, and I really encourage you to do that. So if you're feeling like there's weird thoughts, any kind of strange thoughts, whether it's sexual or other ways of harming your child, maybe accidents, any thoughts that are fearful that you really don't want to be having, those are intrusive thoughts, and you can absolutely make huge changes with them, okay? You do not have to just deal with this. You can find a little bit of space and reprieve from them, okay? So check out that training, and then let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to hear from you in the comments. And make sure you browse through some of the other videos on my channel. There's tons of really good information for you. Thanks for being here, and I'll talk to you soon.